I know what you're involved in," Micah declared, his voice deep and resolute. "You're engaging in illegal activities. This needs to stop immediately." Welcome to Trend Reddit. Today's story centers around Eloise, a young woman who faces disappointment and pain upon discovering that her parents, Jameson and C, are involved in an illegal food smuggling operation. Although raised in a privileged family, Eloise has always yearned to do something meaningful for society. Let's dive right into today's story. The evening was alive with the soft hum of laughter and conversation. The lavish hall transformed into a sanctuary of elegance for the charity event. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting shimmering light over the guests adorned in their finest attire. The walls were adorned with vibrant art pieces, each a testament to the talent that graced the event. This gala was not just another social gathering. It was a platform where the affluent mingled with the idealists, each hoping to leave a mark on the world through charitable contributions. However, amidst the opulence, there was an undercurrent of curiosity and caution, a subtle tension that hinted at the hidden motives behind the smiles and pleasantries exchanged. In stark contrast to the extravagance surrounding him, Micah chose to dress simply. As a millionaire himself, he possessed an instinctive understanding of the societal expectations that accompanied wealth. He wore a plain black suit, a white shirt, and a modest tie, an outfit that cleverly disguised his true identity. Micah's intention was clear: to blend in, to observe, and to understand the world from a perspective that was foreign to him. Underneath the facade, he was a charming and thoughtful man, driven by a profound desire to create social impact rather than merely flaunting his riches. For him, this event was not a display of wealth but an opportunity to delve into the heart of the causes he cared about. Among the attendees was Eloise, Micah's fiancée, whose intelligence and passion for charity illuminated the room. With her keen sense of justice and an unwavering commitment to social issues, she was a breath of fresh air in a sea of elitism. Eloise's parents, Jameson and C, represented traditional views on wealth and status, often judging others by the size of their bank accounts rather than the content of their character. As Micah watched Eloise navigate through the crowd, he felt a swell of admiration for her ability to engage with others, her sincerity, and her dedication to making a difference. Their first interaction unfolded at the art exhibit, where they found themselves standing before a striking painting that seemed to speak to both of them. Micah approached Eloise, intrigued not just by the artwork but by the woman who stood before him. "Do you really think these events make a difference in today's society?" he asked, his tone casual yet probing. Eloise turned to him, her eyes alight with conviction. "I believe they can, but it depends on who's behind them," she replied, her voice steady and passionate. In that moment, Micah was captivated not just by her words but by the depth of her thoughts. There was something about Eloise that resonated with him, something that spoke of shared values and a desire for genuine change. The initial spark of mutual respect ignited between them, setting the foundation for what would become a profound connection. As the night unfolded, they engaged in discussions that revealed their shared values: charity, vegetarianism, and social responsibility. With every conversation, their friendship deepened, growing into a romantic relationship that was as much about understanding and respect as it was about love. They found solace in one another, both navigating a world that often felt at odds with their ideals. However, the specter of Eloise's parental expectations loomed large. Her parents, with their staunch belief in the importance of wealth and status, imposed a burden on her heart. Eloise found herself torn between her affection for Micah and her fear of disappointing her parents. The secret of Micah's true identity weighed heavily on her. She struggled with the idea of revealing who he really was, afraid that their love would be viewed through a lens of financial scrutiny and disdain. One night, after a particularly enchanting dinner at their favorite restaurant, Micah took a deep breath and prepared to lay his heart bare. Surrounded by candlelight, with the soft melody of the violin playing in the background, he leaned across the table, his gaze locked onto Eloise's. "Eloise," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "since I met you, my life has changed. Will you marry me?" Eloise's eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and joy flooding her features. "Yes, 1,000 times yes," she exclaimed, her heart swelling with love. In that moment, the world around them faded, leaving only the two of them and the promise of a future together. Yet beneath the joy lay an undercurrent of tension regarding her parents' impending reaction to their engagement. As the couple embraced their blossoming relationship, the charity event served as a backdrop to the complexities of their lives. Each day brought them closer together while simultaneously drawing them into a web of expectations and societal judgments. Micah was determined to bridge the gap between Eloise's family and their love, unaware of the depths of the challenges that lay ahead. The stage was set for a journey that would test their bond and challenge their beliefs, forcing them to confront the realities of love, family, and the true meaning of integrity in a world that often blurred the lines between wealth and worth. As their relationship deepened, Micah and Eloise found solace in each other, navigating the complexities of their emotions and the world around them. Their connection blossomed through shared values and passionate discussions about the issues that mattered most to them. Micah admired Eloise's unwavering dedication to charitable causes, while she, in turn, found his insights and depth of character refreshing in a society often blinded by superficiality. They spent countless evenings discussing the intricacies of social justice, animal rights, and the importance of community engagement, each conversation drawing them closer together. One breezy evening, as they strolled through the park, the sun setting behind them, Micah turned to Eloise, his expression earnest. "I admire your dedication to making a difference," he said, genuinely reflecting on her passion. Eloise smiled softly, her eyes sparkling with conviction. "It's important to find someone who understands that, not just social status. I want to be with someone who cares about the world, not just the wealth that comes with it." Her words resonated deeply with Micah, solidifying his resolve to reveal his true self to her. He was no ordinary millionaire. He was a man who sought to make a genuine impact, to live beyond the confines of his bank account. However, the weight of Eloise's parental expectations hung heavily in the air, casting a shadow over their burgeoning love. Eloise felt the pressure of her parents' traditional views on wealth and status, an unspoken burden that threatened to suffocate her budding happiness. Jameson and C had always placed great importance on the financial standing of those who entered their lives, and Eloise worried about how they would perceive Micah, especially if they discovered his humble disguise. She grappled with the secret of his true identity, fearful that revealing it would shatter her parents' approval and, in turn, her relationship with them. Despite her inner turmoil, the couple continued to grow closer, weaving their lives together through shared experiences. One afternoon, they volunteered at a local food bank, serving meals to those in need. The warmth of their interactions and the gratitude of those they served brought a sense of fulfillment that neither had anticipated. As they worked side by side, Micah felt a profound sense of purpose, realizing that this was where he belonged. With every laugh, every shared glance, the romantic tension between them escalated. Micah often stole glances at Eloise, captivated by her passion as she spoke to the guests at the food bank, her kindness evident in every word. He began to imagine a future where they could work together to bring about meaningful change, one project at a time. Yet the nagging doubt remained: would her parents accept him for who he truly was? As their relationship evolved, Micah decided it was time to take the next step. He planned an intimate candle-lit dinner at the restaurant where they had shared their first date. It was a place filled with memories, and he hoped it would set the perfect tone for what he intended to ask. The ambience was soft, the air fragrant with the scent of blooming jasmine and delicious cuisine. As they settled into their seats, he felt his heart race with anticipation and nerves. Eloise was radiant that night, her laughter infectious as they reminisced about their early days together. Yet, beneath the joy, Micah sensed the underlying tension in her demeanor, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. He took a deep breath, his mind racing with thoughts of their future and the challenges that lay ahead. "Eloise," he began, his voice steady but laced with emotion, "since I met you, my life has changed. Will you marry me?" His heart raced as he awaited her response, a mixture of hope and fear flooding his mind. Eloise's eyes widened in shock, her breath catching in her throat. "Yes, 1,000 times yes," she exclaimed, her face lighting up with joy. They embraced, a promise sealed between them, yet the shadows of doubt lingered, especially regarding her parents' impending reaction. As they entered this new chapter, Eloise couldn't shake the feeling of dread that accompanied her excitement. Her parents were strict about their expectations, and while she knew they would be happy for her, she also feared their reaction to Micah's true identity. Would they accept him as he was, or would they look down on him for not fitting their mold of success? In the weeks that followed their engagement, Micah's heart was filled with anticipation as they planned their future together. Yet, Eloise's apprehensions weighed heavily on her, and she found herself often lost in thought, struggling with the secret she had yet to share with Micah. She knew she needed to be honest with him about her parents' expectations and her fears of how they would react. One evening, while preparing dinner together, Eloise finally mustered the courage to address the elephant in the room. "Micah, I need to talk to you about my parents," she started, her voice trembling slightly. "Is everything okay?" Micah asked, his brows furrowing with concern. "You seem worried." "I am worried. They have strong opinions about who I should be with," Eloise admitted, her heart pounding. "They want someone established, someone who fits their image of success. I don't want to lose their approval, but I can't hide you from them forever." Micah's expression softened, understanding washing over him. "I don't want to be a secret, Eloise. You deserve to be proud of our love, and I want to support you through this." Eloise looked down, biting her lip. "I know, but what if they don't accept you? What if they think I'm making a mistake?" "Then we'll face it together," he assured her, wrapping his arms around her. "I'm not just a millionaire. I'm someone who wants to make a difference. I believe in us, and I believe in what we can accomplish together." The conversation left Eloise feeling conflicted, both relieved and anxious. She cherished Micah's support, but feared the impending confrontation with her parents. The pressure mounted as they approached the date for their meeting, an important dinner at her family's home where Micah would finally be introduced as her fiancée's. If you find it interesting, please like it. If not, please comment number 1. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. As the day of the dinner arrived, Micah felt a knot of anxiety twist in his stomach. He chose to dress simply, wearing a navy blazer and a crisp white shirt, knowing he needed to stay true to himself. Eloise, dressed elegantly in a flowing gown, looked radiant beside him, yet he could sense her nervousness as they drove to her parents' house. Upon arriving, they were greeted by Jameson and C, whose expressions were a blend of curiosity and skepticism. The atmosphere quickly shifted from warm greetings to a palpable tension as they settled around the dinner table. Micah's heart raced, but he was determined to present himself honestly, ready to make a good impression. During dinner, the conversation flowed, but it was laced with undertones of scrutiny from her parents. Jameson, with a piercing gaze, looked at Micah as if trying to uncover his every secret. "So, Micah, what do you do for a living?" he inquired, his tone subtly condescending. "I work in investments, but I also spend a significant amount of time on charity work," Micah replied, his voice steady. "I believe that wealth should be used to uplift others." Jameson raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "Charity is admirable, but it doesn't pay the bills, does it?" Micah felt the weight of the judgment in Jameson's words but held his ground. "I understand that, but for me, it's about finding a balance. I want to create a legacy that impacts lives, not just accumulate wealth." The dinner continued, with each passing moment heightening the tension. Eloise watched, anxiety bubbling within her, as her parents' disapproval became more evident. Then, as if on cue, the main course was served exotic meats that Micah recognized from his recent research. A wave of horror washed over him as he realized they were potentially illegal. "Eloise, would you mind passing the salad?" he asked, trying to mask his discomfort. "Of course," Eloise replied, oblivious to his growing anxiety. As the evening progressed, Micah's internal conflict deepened. He felt the urgency to uncover the truth behind the exotic meats while maintaining composure in front of Eloise's parents. A sense of unease gnawed at him, amplifying the stakes of the dinner. After the meal, he excused himself under the pretense of needing fresh air. Stepping outside, he pulled out his phone and began searching for information on the restaurant's sourcing practices. His heart raced as he stumbled upon alarming articles about illegal meat smuggling linked to the restaurant. "Micah, please don't put yourself in danger," Eloise cautioned when he confided in her later that evening. "I need to uncover the truth for us," he insisted, his determination unwavering. "If your parents are involved in something illegal, we must do something about it." Eloise felt a chill run down her spine, torn between her love for Micah and her fear of what this investigation could mean for their relationship. As she watched Micah's passion ignite, she realized how deeply he cared not just for her, but for the greater good. The tension between them simmered, leaving both Micah and Eloise on the precipice of a storm that would test their love and resolve. Each was determined to stand by the other, yet the shadow of Eloise's parents loomed larger than ever, threatening to unravel the bond they had fought so hard to create. The evening of the dinner at Eloise's home had arrived, and the air was thick with tension as Micah approached the front door. Clad in his simple attire, he felt the weight of expectation pressing down on him. As they stepped inside, the warm glow of the dining room was inviting, but Micah could sense the scrutiny of Eloise's parents, Jameson and C, lurking just beneath the surface. They embodied traditional views on wealth, and he knew he would have to tread carefully. Eloise, radiant yet anxious, offered him a reassuring smile, but her eyes betrayed her worry. As they sat down for dinner, Jameson initiated small talk, his tone deceptively casual. "So Micah, I expected you to try and guess what this piece is," he said, gesturing toward an extravagant painting that hung on the wall. Micah took a deep breath, recognizing the challenge hidden in Jameson's words. "I appreciate the effort, but I adopted a vegetarian diet for ethical reasons," he replied, choosing to be honest despite the underlying tension. Jameson's brow furrowed, and she exchanged a glance with her husband, both seemingly unimpressed. Micah could feel their judgment like a palpable weight in the room, and it only intensified when the main course was served. As the dishes were unveiled, a cold wave of horror washed over Micah. He recognized the exotic meats presented before them, recalling his recent research into illegal smuggling operations. As the meal progressed, he could hardly focus on the conversation, his mind racing with thoughts of how to address this revelation. His heart pounded as he mentally prepared for the confrontation that he knew would inevitably come. He realized he needed to investigate further to protect both Eloise and their future together. "Eloise, I'm not feeling well. May I step outside for some air?" Micah finally said, feigning a slight headache to excuse himself. Eloise's eyes reflected concern, but she nodded, and he quickly made his way to the patio. Once outside, he pulled out his phone, desperately searching for information on the restaurant's sourcing practices. As he scrolled through alarming articles about illegal meat smuggling, his heart raced with urgency. He had stumbled into a dark world, and the potential danger of confronting Jameson and C weighed heavily on him. Just as he was gathering his thoughts, Eloise joined him on the patio. "Micah, are you okay?" she asked, her voice laced with worry. "I need to talk to you about something important," he said, urgency creeping into his tone. "I believe your parents are involved in something illegal. The meat they serve tonight, it's potentially smuggled." Eloise's eyes widened, a mix of shock and concern washing over her. "Micah, please don't put yourself in danger. You can't just accuse them without evidence." "I know, but if they're involved in smuggling, we have to uncover the truth," Micah insisted, feeling the pressure of the moment. "I care about you, and I can't just sit back and let this go." As he spoke, the gravity of their situation settled over them like a thick fog. Eloise felt a pang of fear for Micah, knowing her parents' influence and the potential consequences of his investigation. Yet, she also felt a growing sense of empowerment, a desire to stand up for what was right, despite the familial ties that had once seemed unbreakable. "Okay," she said finally, determination igniting in her chest. "But we need to be careful. I don't want anything to happen to you." Micah nodded, appreciating her support even in the face of uncertainty. Together, they formulated a plan to gather more information, discussing how they could discreetly investigate without drawing too much attention. The following days were filled with tension as Micah delved deeper into his research, uncovering unsettling truths about the restaurant's practices and the potential involvement of Eloise's parents. Every piece of evidence he found only solidified his resolve, but it also heightened the risk of their situation. One evening, after days of covert investigation, Micah discovered undeniable evidence of the smuggling operation. He felt a mix of dread and determination as he gathered the information, preparing for the confrontation that awaited him. Eloise, meanwhile, was caught in a whirlwind of emotions, torn between her love for Micah and her loyalty to her parents. Finally, the day came when Micah felt ready to confront Jameson and C. With Eloise by his side, he approached the smuggling site where he suspected her parents were operating. As they arrived, Micah's heart raced with a mix of adrenaline and fear, knowing that this confrontation could change everything. As they entered the dimly lit warehouse, Micah felt the tension in the air. He spotted Jameson and C overseeing a group of workers who were unloading crates of questionable origin. The sight solidified his resolve. He had to speak out. "Jameson, C, we need to talk," Micah said, his voice steady but firm. The couple turned to face him, their expressions shifting from surprise to irritation. "What are you doing here?" Jameson demanded, crossing his arms defensively. "I know what you're involved in," Micah stated, his heart pounding in his chest. "The illegal meat smuggling, this needs to stop." Jameson's expression darkened, a glimmer of anger flashing in his eyes. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," he hissed, stepping closer to Micah, his posture intimidating. Micah squared his shoulders, refusing to back down. I know enough. I won't let you exploit others for your gain, not when it puts innocent lives at risk. Just as the tension reached its peak, Eloise stepped forward, her voice shaking but resolute. Dad, this isn't right. You can't continue with this. It's wrong. Jameson's eyes narrowed as he processed her words, a mix of disbelief and fury crossing his face. Eloise, you don't understand. This is business. No, Eloise shouted, stepping in front of Micah, shielding him with her presence. This is about ethics, about people's lives. I won't stand by and let you ruin everything just for profit. Caught off guard by her outburst, Jameson and C exchanged glances, the weight of their daughter's words beginning to sink in. Yet the confrontation was far from over. Micah's determination to expose the truth only fueled the situation. Your operation is illegal, and I will expose you for who you truly are, Micah declared, his voice unwavering. As the argument escalated, Micah felt a surge of fear mixed with adrenaline. Just then, Eloise reached for her phone, her heart racing. I'm calling the police, she declared, her voice resolute. Before she could dial, Jameson lunged toward her, his intentions clear. In that split second, Micah moved to protect Eloise, the situation spiraling into chaos. As they struggled, the tension erupted, leading to a loud crash as a crate fell to the ground, revealing the contents within more evidence of their illicit activities. The noise caught the attention of nearby workers, and in a matter of moments, the warehouse was swarming with law enforcement officers, drawn by Eloise's call. The air filled with confusion and panic as officers secured the area, moving to apprehend Jameson and C. Eloise and Micah watched in disbelief as her parents were taken into custody, their expressions a mix of anger and shame. The reality of what had just transpired sank in, and Eloise felt a tumult of emotions surge within her: betrayal, relief, and a newfound determination to embrace her own path, free from the shadows of her parents' choices. As the dust settled and the reality of their actions became clear, Micah took Eloise's hand, squeezing it tightly. We did the right thing, he whispered, his voice filled with conviction. Eloise nodded, tears welling in her eyes as she watched the arrest unfold. It hurts, but I know it's for the best, she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. In that moment, they realized that their love had been tested and emerged stronger. The path ahead would not be easy, but they were ready to face it together, determined to create a future rooted in honesty and integrity. The aftermath of the confrontation left Eloise and Micah grappling with a whirlwind of emotions. As her parents were led away in handcuffs, a mixture of disbelief and relief washed over Eloise. The weight of their family's betrayal was heavy on her heart, yet there was an undeniable sense of liberation that accompanied their arrest. She turned to Micah, who stood by her side, his presence a reassuring anchor amidst the chaos. I never thought it would come to this, Eloise said, her voice trembling slightly as she wiped away a tear. I can't believe my parents were involved in something so illegal. Micah nodded, his eyes reflecting a mix of empathy and determination. I know it's hard to process, but you stood up for what was right, and that takes immense courage. You should be proud of yourself. Proud? Eloise echoed, the word feeling foreign. I feel lost. They've always been my parents, and now it feels like I don't know them at all. Her voice cracked as she spoke, the reality of her situation crashing down like waves against a rocky shore. Micah gently squeezed her hand, grounding her in the moment. You've defined your own values, Eloise. They don't get to dictate who you are or what you stand for. You've chosen a path that aligns with your beliefs, and that's something to hold on to. As they watched the police car pull away, Eloise felt a mix of sadness and resolve. She had always admired her parents, but their choices had shattered the image she held of them. I need to process all of this, she admitted, turning to Micah. I'm relieved they're no longer a threat, but it hurts to know they made those choices. I'm here for you, whatever you need, Micah reassured her. Let's take it one step at a time. In the days that followed, Eloise found solace in the support of her friends and Micah, who stood by her as she navigated the emotional fallout. They spent long hours talking, sharing their thoughts and fears about what the future held. Together, they began to envision a life built on transparency, accountability, and compassion, determined to make a positive impact on the world. Meanwhile, news of Jameson and C's arrest spread through the community, and the fallout was swift. The once respected couple became the center of a scandal, their names synonymous with corruption and deceit. Eloise faced a difficult truth. Her parents had let down not only themselves but also everyone who believed in them. The reality weighed heavily on her heart, and as she tried to reconcile her love for her parents with the actions they had taken, she realized it was a journey she would have to navigate alone. One afternoon, as they sat in a local cafe, Micah leaned in closer. "Eloise, have you thought about what you want to do next? Now that you've taken a stand, is there something more you'd like to pursue?" Eloise pondered his question, her heart racing at the possibilities. "I want to focus on my own initiatives, to channel this energy into something positive. I've been thinking about starting a nonprofit organization that addresses social justice issues, something that reflects our values." Micah's eyes lit up at her words. "That's a brilliant idea. You have the passion and the drive to make a difference. I'd love to support you in any way I can." Encouraged by Micah's enthusiasm, Eloise felt a renewed sense of purpose. She began to sketch out plans for the nonprofit, envisioning programs that would provide support to victims of crime, resources for education, and opportunities for community engagement. Each idea fueled her desire to create a legacy of hope and healing, contrasting sharply with the darkness her parents had perpetuated. However, the road to establishing the nonprofit was fraught with challenges. Eloise faced criticism and skepticism from those in her community, many still reeling from the scandal. Why would we trust her? Some whispered, recalling her parents' transgressions. Yet through it all, Micah remained her steadfast supporter, encouraging her to rise above the noise. "We can't control what others think, but we can control our actions," Micah reminded her one evening as they worked late into the night, surrounded by papers and ideas. "Focus on your vision. There will always be detractors, but your impact will speak for itself." With Micah's encouragement, Eloise pushed forward, gathering a small team of like-minded individuals who believed in her mission. Together, they worked tirelessly to lay the groundwork for the nonprofit, organizing fundraising events and community outreach programs. The process was not without setbacks, but each small victory strengthened Eloise's resolve. Amidst the whirlwind of activity, Micah remained a constant presence in her life, helping her navigate the challenges of starting the nonprofit while also providing emotional support. Their bond deepened as they faced obstacles together, and soon, their partnership blossomed into a love that was rooted in trust and mutual respect. One day, as they stood outside a community center they had partnered with for an upcoming event, Eloise turned to Micah, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you. You've been my rock through all of this." Micah smiled, his eyes warm with affection. "You've done all the hard work, Eloise. I'm just here to support you in your vision. You're the one making this happen." The day of their first major fundraiser arrived, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and anticipation. Eloise stood before a crowd of supporters, her heart racing as she took the microphone. The moment felt surreal. She had gone from the daughter of a disgraced couple to a woman ready to make a difference. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice steady. "I know that trust takes time, especially given the circumstances. But I promise you, I am committed to creating a better future for our community. Together we can change lives and restore hope." The applause that followed was deafening, echoing the support that had begun to envelop her in the wake of her parents' arrest. With each passing moment, Eloise felt the weight of her family's past slowly lifting, replaced by a burgeoning sense of possibility. As the event continued, Micah stood proudly at her side, their hands intertwined. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but they were ready to face it together. The support they garnered that day would help lay the foundation for their nonprofit and the change they aspired to bring. In the weeks that followed, news of their efforts spread, garnering attention from local media and attracting even more supporters. Eloise's heart swelled with hope as she watched their vision begin to take shape. Her parents' shadows no longer loomed over her. She had carved out her own identity, one that was rooted in compassion and a genuine desire to effect change. As they sat together one evening, poring over plans for future events, Micah turned to Eloise, a glimmer of mischief in his eyes. "You know, I think it's time we celebrate all the hard work we've done. What do you say we take a weekend getaway?" Eloise laughed, her heart lightening at the thought. "That sounds amazing. We definitely deserve it after all this." Their relationship had flourished through adversity, and as they planned their escape, Eloise felt a deep sense of gratitude for Micah's unwavering support. She had not only found love but a partner who believed in her vision and challenged her to be her best self. As they embarked on their getaway, leaving behind the chaos of the past, Eloise felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead would still have its challenges, but she was no longer defined by her parents' mistakes. With Micah by her side, she was ready to embrace a future filled with hope, determination, and the promise of making a difference in the world. In the aftermath of the tumultuous events that had unfolded, Eloise found herself at a crossroads where her heart was a battleground of emotions. The arrest of her parents had sent shockwaves through her life, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter. She had stepped out from the shadows of their choices, determined to forge her own path, one that was steeped in integrity and purpose. The weeks following the fundraiser brought a flurry of activity as Eloise and her team continued to build the nonprofit organization. With the community rallying behind them, support began to pour in from all corners: volunteers, donations, and partnerships with local businesses eager to help their cause. Eloise felt an exhilarating surge of hope as she witnessed her vision taking shape, transforming from a dream into a tangible reality. However, amid the excitement of her new venture, the emotional toll of her parents' betrayal lingered. Eloise often found herself reflecting on the lessons learned during this challenging time. She recognized the importance of standing up for her beliefs, even when it meant challenging the very foundation of her upbringing. As she processed her feelings, she began to understand that her parents' choices did not define her. Rather, it was how she chose to respond to those choices that would shape her future. One quiet evening, as she and Micah sat on their porch watching the sun set over the horizon, Eloise turned to him, her heart heavy yet hopeful. "I've been thinking a lot about everything that's happened," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "It still hurts to know my parents were involved in something so terrible. I loved them, and now it feels like I don't know who they are anymore." Micah reached for her hand, intertwining his fingers with hers. "It's okay to feel that way. You're grieving the loss of the parents you thought you knew. But remember, you're not alone in this. I'm here for you, always." His support was a balm to her soul, and she took comfort in the fact that together they could navigate the complexities of their emotions. As they continued to talk about her parents and the situation, Eloise felt the burden on her heart begin to lighten. She resolved to channel her pain into her work, allowing it to fuel her passion for creating a better future for others. As the nonprofit officially launched its first community program, a series of workshops aimed at educating families about social justice issues, Eloise felt a sense of accomplishment that was both exhilarating and humbling. The room was filled with eager faces, all ready to learn and engage in meaningful dialogue. It was a stark contrast to the weight of her parents' actions. Here, she was creating a space for hope and healing. In the months that followed, the nonprofit flourished, gaining recognition and support from the community and beyond. Eloise began to receive invitations to speak at local events, where she passionately shared her vision for a more equitable world. Each time she stepped onto a stage, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, her voice echoing the message of resilience and change. Micah was always by her side, cheering her on, his pride evident in every glance. Despite the progress she had made, the ghost of her parents' choices loomed over her family. Eloise knew she had to confront them, not out of anger, but out of a need for closure. One afternoon, she gathered her courage and reached out to her parents, arranging a meeting in a neutral space, hoping to foster a dialogue that would allow her to express her feelings. On the day of the meeting, Eloise felt a mix of apprehension and determination as she arrived at the cafe. The atmosphere was charged with tension as her parents approached, their faces a mixture of regret and defiance. Jameson and C had always been imposing figures in her life, and seeing them now, stripped of their former authority, stirred conflicting emotions within her. "Eloise," C began, her voice wavering, "we never wanted this for you. We made terrible mistakes, and I can't express how sorry I am." Eloise took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she needed to say. "I appreciate your apology, but it doesn't change the fact that you hurt a lot of people, including me. I don't recognize you anymore, and it's hard to reconcile the parents I loved with the actions you took." Jameson nodded, guilt etched across his features. "We let our greed blind us, and for that, we are truly sorry. We've lost everything: our reputation, our family, but we want to do better." The weight of their words hung in the air, and Eloise felt a flicker of hope. "If you really want to change, then start by supporting the community you harmed. Help us make a difference instead of perpetuating the cycle of greed." Her parents exchanged glances, the sincerity of her request evident. "We'd like that," she said softly, her voice trembling with emotion. "We want to help, to make amends in whatever way we can." As they discussed potential ways for her parents to contribute to the nonprofit, Eloise felt a sense of resolve solidifying within her. While the road to forgiveness would be long and complicated, she recognized that opening the door to dialogue was a crucial step in healing her heart. Over the following months, Jameson and C began to engage with the nonprofit, volunteering their time and resources. Their involvement was met with mixed reactions from the community, but Eloise remained steadfast in her belief that change was possible, even for those who had erred greatly. With Micah's unwavering support, she encouraged her parents to share their story, a cautionary tale about the dangers of greed and the importance of integrity. As the seasons changed, so too did the dynamics of Eloise's relationship with her parents. Slowly but surely, they began to rebuild their connection, forging a new understanding based on honesty and accountability. Eloise learned to navigate the complexities of her emotions, allowing herself to feel anger and disappointment while also embracing the possibility of forgiveness. As their nonprofit continued to thrive, Eloise felt a profound sense of pride in the work they were doing. With each workshop and community event, they were sowing seeds of hope and change, empowering others to rise above their circumstances and advocate for justice. The past would always be a part of her story, but it no longer defined her. Instead, she had taken control of her narrative, using her experiences to inspire others. On a bright spring day, as Eloise and Micah stood outside their community center, preparing for the launch of their latest initiative, she turned to him, her heart brimming with gratitude. "I couldn't have done any of this without you, Micah. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Micah smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. "You've always had the strength within you, Eloise. I just helped you find it. Together, we're building something beautiful." Their relationship had blossomed through adversity, each challenge they faced only solidifying their bond. As they looked out at the bustling crowd of supporters and community members gathered for the event, Eloise felt a rush of joy. They were not just creating programs, they were fostering a movement, igniting a passion for change that resonated throughout the community. As the event kicked off, Eloise took to the stage, her voice steady and filled with conviction. "Thank you all for being here today. We're on a journey to create a world where everyone has a voice, where justice prevails, and where compassion guides our actions. Together we can make a difference." The applause that followed was thunderous, echoing the support of a community united in purpose. In that moment, Eloise understood that while the past would always hold lessons, it was the future that held possibilities. With Micah by her side, she was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, fueled by hope and a commitment to making the world a better place. As they celebrated the success of their initiatives, Eloise couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought her to this point. The road had been fraught with challenges, but each obstacle had taught her the importance of resilience, empathy, and the power of love. In the heart of a thriving community, surrounded by friends and supporters, Eloise found her purpose. With Micah at her side, she was not just building a nonprofit, she was cultivating a legacy of hope, empowerment, and unwavering belief in the potential for change. Together, they would continue to write their story, one filled with love, resilience, and a determination to make a lasting impact in the world. The story reminds us that courage to face the truth, integrity and social responsibility, along with love and support from those around us, can help us overcome challenges, heal wounds, and make a positive impact in our communities.